Hello. You've heard of the microbiome. You know that a healthy microbiome is good for you, but you don't know exactly why or how to take care of it. Do you want to improve the health of your skin and your whole body naturally? Prebiotics might just be the solution you're looking for. In this video, I untangle it all for you. I explain to you what is good for your skin and for your health. I'm Mireille Vega, Dr. Mimi. I'm a biochemist and chemist, founder of Microbiome. I have extensive experience in biotechnology and developed an expertise in the skin microbiota. I'm here to share these with you. First, let's start with the definitions. What's the microbiome versus microbiota or the flora? So the microbiome is the science of the microbiota, or the science of the genes of all these microorganisms that live in ecosystems and benefit from the ecosystem and gives benefit to the host. Okay, that's complicated. So basically, let's make it the science of the microbes that live in and around us. For the human microbiome, well, it's on our skin or in our gut, mainly, but there's various ones. So what is it? It's all these microorganisms, the composition of it. There's a balance that brings benefits to human, and in exchange, the human provides the ecosystem for these microorganisms. So why do we want to care for these microorganisms? Because they do bring some great benefits. First, around the gut microbiome, we do know that a healthy gut microbiome has benefits in terms of immunology, lowering inflammation, and overall health. It also helps our skin, all of that. But there's also microorganisms, so a microbiota, on our skin. And by the way, microorganisms, microbiota, and flora, all the same thing, all right? It's all these groups of microbes that live with us. So on the skin, the microorganisms also bring benefits to us. Two ways mainly. First, because they create this thin layer, it protects us from the environment, mainly against free radicals, UV, contaminants. Of course, it's not a super strong FPS. You do need to put on sunscreen if you go under the sun. But day to day in our houses with the free radicals, it's a good protection that actually benefits against premature aging. So number one, pretty good. Number two, it also prevents these disbalances of the microorganisms themselves. So if you have strong microorganisms living on your skin, well, if there's maybe a disturbance, that disturbance will not have as big an impact because the other microorganisms will compensate. So there's this critical mass where everything kind of flows well together. But if we strip that layer, if we clean or cleanse too much, well, we remove these microorganisms, and some others that are perhaps more opportunistic, like the bacteria of acne, well, some others may take over. And this is when we start seeing the symptoms. So we'll break out more, we'll have more inflammation. So just by having this layer of microorganism strong, we prevent these. So the balance of these microorganisms, very important. Bacteria, yeast. In a case of dermatitis or eczema, for instance, it's the yeasts that take over. So again, if you have multiple types and the diversity is built and there's a lot of them, well, it's going to compensate and it's going to prevent one type to take over the other. So now that we know that we want to care for these microorganisms, how do we care for them? First, we protect them. We don't strip them away. We don't wash too much. Let's take the acne example. So if you were to wash or double cleanse or exfoliate even your skin and strip some of the microorganisms, there's a good chance those that would be left behind are the ones that may cause acne, because these microorganisms are in the pore, they're deeper, they don't need oxygen, so they stay around. Now the other ones are not around, so they can take the space. What you'll do is actually don't wash too much. Something that, like, it's certainly not intuitive because we've been told to wash and overwash for years, especially in recent years, for our hands, prevention of contamination to others. But for the skin of your hands, it's completely different. And the reason why is because the hands are vectors. We can transmit diseases or viruses or bacteria through our hands. But your facial skin, the contact, is more seldom, let's put it this way. So there's not as big a chance you want to protect the microorganisms on your face. Again, you're not going to use irritants for the same reason, for this disbalances. So no overwashing, and use ingredients that are not too irritant. The second strategy, you're actually going to restore what you could have lost. So the skin, I've told you many times, and I probably tell it in all the videos, is a fabulous organ and it does wonders, but it needs its basic elements. And with modern life, well, we strip these elements away. I mean, we live in cities, we work out, we put on makeup. It's great, but we have to remove these ingredients because they contain contaminants that are not great for the skin long term. So when we get home, the sunscreen we've put to protect ourselves against the sun needs to be removed. So we wash. At the same time, even if we don't overwash, we do remove some of the skin's essentials, including microorganisms. So we'll want to restore them with pre- and post-biotics. So these are the strategies that we have for the skin. For the gut, you know this, you eat healthy. These are the prebiotics of the gut microorganisms. Plant-based, complex sugars, inulin. These will provide the prebiotics for your microorganisms in the gut. On the skin, these prebiotics very similarly are hyaluronic acid, for instance, but the FOS and the GOS also complex sugar. They're called FOS and GOS to simplify, FOS, GOS, this is the French version. So GOS for glucto-oligosaccharides or fructo-oligosaccharides. So these are complex sugars that really provide benefits to the skin. There's also, like I mentioned, hyaluronic acid. It's a very common ingredient that I think should be in all formulations. It certainly is in ours. It's a humectant, which means that it keeps the water in the skin. So again, other benefits, but it also supports a healthy microbiota. So this is strategies for prebiotics. For the gut, we have the probiotic strategy. So we put on active we put in active ingredients that can help in that critical mass. So you have enough microorganisms to really support your immune system and your gut functions. For the skin, it's a bit more complicated because currently the system, how skincare works, it's difficult to maintain these organisms active without spoiling your products. So this strategy is not so much used and a bit complex. But there's a way to use microorganisms or ferment extracts that will actually provide very good benefits, but in the form of post-biotics. We don't use that so much for the gut microorganisms. It's like ferment extracts. We kind of do, but not that much. But for the skin microorganisms, the postbiotic, super key. It's actually composed of anything that will be providing the environment, the optimal environment for your microorganisms. So yes, it's extracts of fermentation, but it's also the pH that you use and some other compounds, proteins, peptides that will really support the critical mass of those microorganisms. So postbiotics, I spoke about pH. pH is part of the environment. We know that these microorganisms need slightly acidic environment to grow. Actually, the good bacteria that you want on your skin, this is the pH that they prefer. So we'll want to use products that have a slightly acidic pH. So to summarize, protect, restore is the key. You protect what is good, don't overwash, and you restore what you've lost with pre and postbiotics. You understand that your microbiota is important to keep healthy and that it can be quite intuitive once you get it. If it's the type of content that interests you, ask you to subscribe to my channel for more tips and to leave a like if you like this video. If you want to learn more, you can also download my free guide on no ingredients that can harm the health of your skin and destroy your microbiota. The link is in the description. Thanks and see you next time.